Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Dustin. This is you're watching VideoGameSauce, or rather listening, and today I'm doing another interview, perhaps with Austin Mackert. How you doing there, Austin?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I'm so glad to have you on. I was a little nervous earlier because I've been quite a big fan of your channel for a while, and you make really good videos, in my opinion. And I think everybody should definitely go and check it out. But of course, do that after the video.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and the thing I really enjoy about your channel is that you kind of you don't really stick to one system. You kind of are all over the place, and I really like that. And it's sort of a learning curve, a learning process for me, because you run through so much stuff. It's very good. Yeah, I mean, the last one you did was Castle Wolfenstein. That was really good, man. By the way.
Yeah, that was for the 3DO. Yeah, I mean, I play just about everything. I play even the crappy systems like the CDI. I've even had a couple of those videos recently, and you know, I just like to bounce all over the place, and it's kind of interesting to me too. And I hope that I can try to show that to the listeners or the viewers. You know, I try to do some obscure stuff that isn't done so often on YouTube, because you know, there's hundreds of people that do Super Mario Brothers and Sonic the Hedgehog. If you look up like Short Warp on the 3DO, there's only going to be maybe one straight up gameplay video, no commentary or anything. So some things it's very difficult to find content on too. So, okay. And a lot of it just kind of interests me naturally. I just try to put that into videos. So
yeah, that's really what I like about, like, when the video hits my inbox. It could be pretty much anything, and it's always very enjoyable. Like,
yeah, it might be something popular like Killer Instinct or Wolfenstein, or it might be something kind of obscure.
And the first video, and I wanted to talk about this, was the first video I ever saw was that you did was Ninja Gaiden Long Play, and that just blew my mind.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I went through the process, and I saw that video, and I watched it, and I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and beat Ninja Gaiden just like that, and never did. Actually, I got to level 6. I got to level 6 too, and it just wasn't possible, and I was so frustrated. I remember commenting on your video going, how do I get past this part? And you're like, whirlwind attack is your friend. I'm like, okay.
That is the part that seems to give everybody the problem. Like my buddy Chris, who I do the podcast with, Implant Games podcast, he actually tried beating the game after he saw that long play as well, and he was able to get farther than he could before, but he also got stuck at 6-2. Mm-hmm. So that just seems to be how it goes, and I agree that it's definitely the hardest part in the entire game. And when I was a kid, that gave me loads of trouble.
Oh, it still gives me trouble. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, in all honesty, I got past it once, and I made it to the last boss, and I died. I said, you know what? That's good enough for me. That's fine.
Well, especially when you die the last boss, you get thrown all the way back to 6-1.
Oh, it's so brutal. Yeah. But yeah, and then a couple of videos where you got to do a review on Tetris, and then one day it's Ninja Gaiden, and then one day it's Killer Instinct, and things like that. You just kind of go with the flow and say, you know, today, or is it just something you stumble upon, like, oh, you know what, today I'm going to do a 3DO review or anything like that, or just what you're feeling that day?
I have quite a few different types of videos I do, and depending on the type of video, it's just kind of based on whether I do it or not. Like the Tetris review, that was actually kind of like a full-on, like kind of in-depth review with some appropriate video editing and things like that, which I'm trying to learn more of. And those videos take a long time to do. That Tetris video alone probably took me at least 40 hours worth of work to put together. It's a lot of work for those, so I really have to plan those out ahead of time, and it's just kind of, I try to do games I'm really familiar with or I have been playing recently, but for stuff like, you know, like the casual gameplay and talks where it's, you know, I literally pop the game on and I play it and commentate at the same time, those I actually just kind of do. All the games I do I'm generally familiar with. I don't do any games like I haven't played before, or I haven't put I haven't put much time into. I always do games I'm familiar with and I've played quite a bit. Since those videos are just kind of like, I literally turn on a game, record the footage, record the audio track while I'm playing the game. I sometimes record like 4 to 8 of those in like one day. I'll just sit down, I'll be like, all right, this game's good, I can talk about this, I can talk about that, or I've been playing this recently. I'll literally just sit down and like record 8 of them, and then I'll spend the next day or two just editing them all together. So some of it's kind of random stuff, like the really big, like my viewpoint comparison video, my CDI mouse video, my CDI Tetris video, those all took a lot of time to put together, and those required a lot more like planning in advance. The casual talk and play plays, I don't usually just like say, it's a Monday, I feel like Wolfenstein today, and let me just, record this when I get home from work. That's actually how I used to do it back when I had no video editing and I just shot my television with my camera. That was completely random. I would just, one day I'd feel like recording Castlevania 3 and I'd do it and I'd upload it 10 minutes later because there's no editing involved and it looked horrible. But
yeah, I remember diving deeper in the archives and I was like, whoa, TV recordings, and they're still pretty good. And then you hit that point where it was full on high quality video.
The good old days. Chris, who I do the podcast with, I think still kind of makes fun of me about it for a little bit. Once I started actually where I got a capture card and I started switching from the TV footage to actual capture card footage and a real commentary with a mic and not just, the camera mic. Like, he's always just kind of like, thank God you don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thank you for not doing that anymore.
It is more work just doing the casual talking plays as it is because, there's more that can go wrong for one, just with recording it because I've got the footage going to a capture card, which goes into my computer, and then I've got the mic going to my M-Audio box, which also goes to my computer, and sometimes there can be conflicts. There's also syncing up the voice track to the video, making sure it's not too far off. So if I say, this move I just did, I need to make sure it's not like 2 seconds off and just feels weird, But with those, I also try to do some other things, like I try to add backgrounds to them. I force my videos to play in like widescreen mode because I think that's kind of the future. So
yeah.
And I also try to do, you've probably noticed some other things, like I did it in the Wolfenstein video where I might put some captions correcting myself, or I'll like throw some box art by for other versions of the games.
Yeah, I did pick those up. I like that. It's a little extra knowledge right on the video frame.
I try to, that makes the videos seem a little more complete because they are really just kind of casual. They're like a mixture of Let's Plays and reviews. It's like middle ground. Not really a Let's Play because I don't finish the game. That's what my long plays are. But it's kind of like not a review either. So it's like the evolution of me just pointing the camera at the TV, which I did 2 years ago when I first got on YouTube. And that's, basically that for those.
Yeah, so, I gotta say in my opinion, you're one hell of a game player because, like, I made the mistake of trying to do a look at Super Girls and Ghosts that I just started playing, and I recorded it and unfortunately put it online, and I've really regretted it ever since. But I know you've done a couple Ghouls and Ghosts games, and you kind of seem to rip right through them, and I was really, really amazed because I am horrible at those games.
I got a lot of comments on my Ghouls and Ghosts video, actually probably more comments than I've gotten on any other casual talk and play, and most of the comments were like, oh my God, you're a beast.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you do this and talk at the same time? And I'm just like, it seems natural to me.
Yeah, because I was sitting there watching it, and then I realized that I'm like, he's playing it while he's talking at the same time. Like, holy cow. Oh, and then I thought of Ninja Gaiden, and yeah.
Oh, man. Ninja Gaiden is actually reserved for, well, aside from the long play, but it's actually reserved for, a more in-depth video I'm going to be doing, hopefully shortly, very shortly in the next few weeks. Hopefully I'll have it done. So Ninja Gaiden won't get a casual talk and play outside of the long plays, which very few people actually watch the long plays because, it's an hour-long video.
Yeah.
But, so Ninja Gaiden won't get that talk and play at the same time treatment, but I think the result of the full video I'll be doing will be a lot nicer anyways.
Very cool. It's like a teaser.
But hey, there's plenty of Ghosts and Goblin games out there and Ghouls and Ghost games. I can always do the whole series.
Oh man, I couldn't believe that. I think I remember you telling me like, yeah, you beat the game, but then you got to beat the game again. I was like, what?
Yep.
Are you?
Yep.
Oh my God, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, those games are infamous for that. Very infamous for that.
Because I just recently picked up Ghosts and Goblins. I was getting messed up on the Nintendo, and that game is. Whew.
Yeah, Ghosts and Goblins for the NES is brutal. For one, it's just kind of like a trashy port as it is, so I actually find that game to be more difficult than the actual arcade game, which is usually the other way around when games get ported to consoles. So.
Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Ghosts and Goblins for Nintendo, that is. I don't think I've ever beaten Ghosts and Goblins for the NES. I finished the arcade game, but I haven't finished the NES one, so.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I was going to work on recently, but like, you know what, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to learn Ghosts and Goblins sounds as
good luck
hard
with
as
that.
I can, and then after like half an hour, I was like, maybe this isn't such a good idea, you know?
No, it's not.
But anyway, like you have quite a few consoles on hand, or actually, a better question is what is your like gem that you have in your collection?
My gem in my collection?
Yeah, like the one thing that maybe isn't like valuable to anybody else, but you're like, oh, I love it, or in that matter, I guess.
I have a problem with kind of like acquiring too much and then thinking, oh man, I have way too much. I gotta downsize. And I do. And I'm always constantly buying and trading and things like that to get what I want. And so like the gems and so forth, I might have them for a little bit, but then I sometimes trade them off for something else I want at that moment. So,
okay.
Probably my favorite though would be, I'll just say probably one of my favorite games, at least of all time, is Radiant Silvergun. And I had the Saturn version just a little while back, but I ended up selling it to someone that wanted it. So that was my gem. However, I do actually have the arcade version of it. I have the Sega STV JAMA arcade board with the Radiant Silvergun cartridge. So technically, I guess I could say that's my gem right now. But unfortunately, I don't have an arcade machine to put it in right now. Okay. But I will eventually.
Yeah, so, well, there you go. I mean, yeah, because like with me, I started recollecting all of my old systems, and I just couldn't believe some of the stuff I let go back in the day. But, when I had a Nintendo and then Sega Genesis came along, I thought Nintendo was a piece of junk, so I sold that, and so on and so on.
And then years later, you're like, man, why did I do that?
I know, I'm sitting there in a retro store looking at Nintendo for $50, like, oh, man, like, what was I thinking? So, you do Implant Games podcast. How often do you do that one?
Yeah, we actually, Chris and I, we recorded every 2 weeks, so we put an episode up twice a month. For a little while last year, we were actually trying to put an episode up every week. We would record 2 episodes in one sitting and then put them up every week. But after we went on hiatus for a little while and we came back about a month ago, we decided not to do that. We would just keep it to every 2 weeks. Our podcasts are generally between, they're about an hour and 20 to an hour and a half long.
That's a good format, I think.
Every 2 weeks, and so we'll be recording the next one tomorrow. Yeah, we'll have it uploaded at the end of the day. So it's fun doing that. I enjoy it. Just kind of like BSing about games, and I think between the both of us, we both have a pretty good wide knowledge of game systems, things like that. We're both into some of the more obscure things like the Jaguar and the 32X, things like that. That's not really so much obscure, I guess, but obscure would be like the PCFX or something like that. But, less than popular things, so we can kind of like talk about those things too with kind of like an open mind, as well as everything else that goes on. So
yeah, and that's what I like about your channel. Like I said before, it's very like you've thrown a lot of stuff at me that I had no idea about. Maybe because I think it was one of your videos where I was watching it. You kept confusing TurboGrafx with PC Engine, and I was like, "What is a PC Engine?" And I had to look it up. I had to look it up that day, and I was like, "This thing is amazing." I was like, "How could I never have heard of this?" So it's very cool. I mean, I would say I would highly recommend everybody who's listening to this go look at your channel and listen to Implant Games, by the way, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. So, and I want to say thanks for having me on. I don't even know if we're ending yet, but thanks for having me on. Like when you sent me the request saying I want to interview you, I was like, whoa, that's the first time I've had that. That's pretty awesome. So it caught me off guard, and I'm glad to be here, just kind of talking about it. I've noticed that you've just been starting stuff recently, right? Like your YouTube channel, from what I could tell, fairly recently.
Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed your stuff is pretty awesome, man. Like I've noticed you've even got like the green screen. You've got I like your accessory overviews and so forth. It actually reminds me of Dane's accessory overviews, and
yeah, I sort of took a cue from him.
It's good stuff, man. And for being for having not done it very long, I think your stuff's amazing right now.
Well, thank you.
I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing what it's like, say, a year from now, if you're still doing it.
I hope so.
Yeah,
yeah. It's very easy to get burned out very quickly. You have to kind of take it slow.
Yeah. And I've actually thought about restructuring things myself to kind of make up for that, because I do a lot of different kinds of videos, and it's getting to the point where like sometimes I'm not even playing games just to play them to enjoy them. I'm just playing them in order to have future video content ready. Things like that. So it's becoming more of a job to a degree with all the different things I do, including the podcast. So
yeah, I mean,
I might actually make some changes.
Yeah, and I totally agree, and that's kind of the reason why I'm doing things like this and more accessory reviews, because I hit a point where you hit a wall and it's like, this is no longer enjoyable anymore. And as a guy who used to do a podcast in the past, it really definitely felt more like a job because of the amount of work that goes into it. And a lot of people don't even realize how much work into it. It's really staggering.
Yep, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work. Once it starts feeling like work, then and you start spending too much time with it, then maybe it's time to step back. And it's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm always going to keep doing videos, but to the degree that I'm doing them, probably halt like how frequently I do them. And the other big thing for me is I want to focus more on actually furthering my video editing skills and learning, because that's like the casual talking place is just kind of me having fun, right? But like the full-on reviews, like I'm learning kind of a skill. Like I don't have a film background or anything, so I'm just kind of learning all this by myself through tinkering with like Sony Vegas and things like that. So, but I feel that's actually a skill I might be able to put to use elsewhere outside of, say, YouTube or something like that.
True, yeah.
So, and I would definitely like to focus more attention to that as well.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, especially with YouTube, I mean, you have to learn how to use a camera. You have to use lighting and editing and how to speak and edit and all that stuff. And it can be miserable, because I've gone to work sometimes where not happy at all with a video, and I go and re-edit, still not happy with it, things like that. So it's all a learning process though. Like when you go back to your earliest stuff and then you go back and watch what you've done now, you're like, man, there's a huge difference. So it's the fact that that you're improving at least, and that keeps you going a little bit. Yeah.
So,
well, I think we all have to have our small beginnings. And I mean, like I just got my green screen, and it took me a couple days to figure that thing out. Like, oh, it looks horrible.
How does that work, by the way? I don't usually get on camera in front of the camera unless I'm doing like a pickups video or something, which I'll probably be doing in the summertime again. I'm still kind of curious though, because if I do ever decide to say get in front of the camera, I might want to have some weird background or different background behind me instead of my tiny ass room.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how does that work? I'm kind of curious about that.
I mean, basically, you can go online and buy a muslin screen, which is it starts anywhere from $20. I went the cheap route and went over to Walmart and bought 3x3 green pieces of paper and taped them together and put them up on my wall. And I put it in the smallest, in my smallest room in my apartment with a lot of light. And all you do is you go to Sony Vegas and you have your video and you click chroma key video effects and you click green screen, and 90% of the time it works perfectly. But it takes a little bit of tweaking and things like that. And that way you can make yourself small or move you around the screen and things like that. So it's actually pretty easy. It's actually shockingly easy.
That's a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, you just have to make sure you have a lot of light, which can be a bummer because you have so much light on you, you start to get hot and sweaty. Oh yeah. So, I think that I made a video when I first got it and I was all sweaty and I was like, there's no way I would ever release this thing. It looks horrible. So yeah, I think we're kind of winding down. I would suggest that everybody goes out, checks out Austin's YouTube video. Like I said, you make awesome videos, and definitely check out Implant Games. It's very cool stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's hard work. Remember to like, even a like is a lot. So. But Austin, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, Dustin. I appreciate it. This was fun. So
yeah, it's very, very fun. It's a different look at things. So thanks everybody for listening or watching or whatever this is, and have a good one. All right.
See you guys.
Bye.